Namaste everyone, welcome again from Bodhi Surfing Yoga. We're moving on now to the third branch, the third link of Ashtanga Yoga system. Before we enter, let's take, as usual, our transition moment. So we're gonna close the eyes, bring your chin down just a little bit. Make sure you're sitting comfortably with a straight back, your shoulders back. And let's draw the attention to the breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Pay attention to your own breath. Feel the air coming in, moving all the way down, filling up your diaphragm, your lower belly, and then flowing back out. And as you breathe deeply, try to relax the muscles in your face. Imagine you're smiling from the inside out. You don't need to smile with your mouth, smile with the whole body. We're gonna try to keep that sense of presence. Join the hands together right in front of the chest. And let's set up an intention. Why are we here doing this? And then on the next exhale, we're gonna release the hands down. Let's open the eyes, lift up your chin, and let's begin today. So today, the limb that we're gonna study is the asana, which is probably not new to us. In this Western world, what we recognize as yoga mostly is the asana practice. So to learn asana is just like by learning how to bike. The best way to learn it is just get on the bike. Same thing with the asana. It's just the way to learn the asana practice is by doing the asana. And this is a place where today in this class, we're gonna get the philosophical aspect and get to know a little bit more about the asana and why the asana and the story behind asana. So today, instead of learning or doing an asana practice, we're gonna remain seated, but we will place actually like in the video different links where you can access different practices that we have already recorded. But what we're gonna learn is why the asana, what's the story behind it, what are the benefits, why moving the body in different directions is such an important part of this spiritual path, which is the question I did to myself like when I started practicing. It felt ever since the beginning when I started practicing 20 years ago, the asana practice felt really good. But I'm one of those people who like to know the why. And this is why also I'm doing this. Why are we doing what we're doing when we're executing asana? And what is the purpose of the asana practice? Which means posture. Asana means posture. So let's go behind in the history behind the asana practice, which actually there's different sides of the coin. There's different stories and belief or where the asana came from and what is the value behind it. Let's start with the Yoga Sutras because we have been talking about the Yoga Sutras a lot. And if you were to read the Yoga Sutras, you might notice that the asana barely get mentioned during the book in any of the sutras. There's one sutra that talks about asana, and the sutra says Sthira Sukham Asana. And it means that the posture should be comfortable and strong at the same time. Sthira means strong, you know, and Sukham means easy. So the posture should be at the combination. But what is not clear is that it might be talking just about the sitting position of meditation. And it's my understanding that there's proof that some yoga postures, especially seated postures, were established 5,000 or 3,000 years ago. And the intention of these asanas that were held actually for a long time were to purify the body and to create a supple body, so when you're ready to meditate and do pranayama, you will feel comfortable in your body. Your body will be flexible, open, and strong enough so you can do meditation and pranayama for a long time. So yes, there was about, I believe, 11 to 12 positions that, according to what I have studied and read in different books, they were found even like in drawings on a cave from yogis who would retreat into those caves. And supposedly those postures came out of like a meditational state that revealed that those postures were good to your body, to work on different aspects of your being. That's one perspective of how the asanas came into the picture. But definitely the way that it was practiced was not the way it is practiced as today. That it's more, in some cases, in some practices, more flowy, more vigorous kind of practice, like the Ashtanga methods or something. Definitely wasn't like a practice like we do for like a big amount of people, and no, for therapeutic purposes as it has today. So one book that actually that I recommend reading, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, has a lot of sort of seated positions, some asanam that actually believe that have like very magical purposes and very strong purposes on the body, but on the energetic level of the body. And you can read about it, but I'm gonna try to stick with, there's a lot of information we can talk about the asana, so I'm gonna try to stay and as close as I can from the Yoga Sutras. And the other way, which is, it has created a lot of controversy, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. There's Krishnamacharya, and he is considered the architect or the father of modern yoga. He was the teacher of teachers, and he came out like in the early 1900s, in the 20s and 30s. He is one of the main teachers, I would say like the main figure of modern asana practice. He was a scholar, a well-versed person in the Vedas, Upanishads, and every kind of sacred text. He knew a lot of Ayurveda, and he knew a lot of calisthenics. So when we see the modern asana practice, we see a lot of what Krishnamacharya was teaching in different ways, because he taught teachers like Pattabhi Jois, who developed the method of Ashtanga Yoga. Then we have Iyengar, who developed the method of Iyengar. The Sikachar, who is the son, and also developed Bini Yoga. Indra Devi, that thanks to her, like I bow to her, because she was one of the first women who was taught the practice of asana and yoga in general by Krishnamacharya. And then she went and taught all around the world. And the story goes that Krishnamacharya will only teach men, not women. And she was really stubborn. And she will, like, according to one of my teachers said, she was stood up in front of the door of Krishnamacharya all the time until he gave up and taught her. And so I bow to her because what an example of a strong, powerful woman. And now it's insane. The majority of people like who practice yoga around the world, it's women. So isn't that awesome? So one of the things is that he might have gathered different knowledge because he was really good at not only like synthesizing information and using that information to heal and treat and teach his students. So to some, really like only some of the students, he went and taught right away philosophy, pranayama, and meditation techniques. But most people he will see, he will work with them using Ayurveda and using asana practice. The asana as we kind of like know it today, although like he is still changing a lot today, but there was therapeutic purposes that why he would use the asana practice. So having said that, it created a lot of controversy that supposedly he took a lot of knowledge that was already in Europe about gymnastics and about other types of things. And it has, and I'm saying it has been controversial because many people believe that this practice was more spiritual and coming from India. And then when this information came, there was some disappointment. This is my point of view of this situation. The best tool we have to see if something works or not, it's our experience. So when it comes to that, practice asana. If it works for you, if it creates good in you, if it takes you to a state of calmness, which for me is not a placebo effect, it does really work for me, it does feel like a meditation in action, then that's great. And if it doesn't work for you, then there's other ways. And as I said, like when we're bringing here all the different limbs of yoga, means that you can follow all this path, or it's okay, you can practice yoga without practicing asana. Perhaps other exercise at the moment might be better for you. But the intention of the asana is it's not a workout. It was never meant to be a workout. It's actually an internal, a kriya practice. Kriya meaning cleansing practice. The intention of this practice was to work internally. The way that I learned it, which is from the Ashtanga Vinyasa method, is first, certain postures are being taught in a way, in a certain order, we call it krama, in order for us to clean and detoxify the digestive system. Then we move further, and so then the postures are more forward bends and twisting, and also to open up the body. Then we move into more complex postures, which might be back bends and inversions. And these are to strengthening the nervous system, the vagus nerve, which there could be a whole conversation about it, and to like oxygenate the mind, the brain a little bit more. So again, the intention is internally. I feel one of the mistakes we can make is to take it asana practice only as a workout. Because it wasn't the plan. That wasn't the plan, and we might tend to push it too much and get to an injury. So as instead, like it's really important to look for the purpose, what it was that we want to do with the asana, which I would say it had two intentions. First, this healing therapy, helping with the alignment, helping with the digestive system, creating a more supple but a strong body, and helping with the balance. And the combination of the asana and the breath will help with the mental state, create a sense of calmness within the mind and the body. Creates a little bit, I would say what it does, it creates a little bit more of clarity. So we can bring the clarity all through the day. I do feel it brings a sense of energy, but a different sense of energy and stamina, kind of like a more settled and peaceful one. So you feel great, and it goes for a long time. But it's not like it doesn't give you a super high. It just makes you feel good. So I would say that that's the intention of the asana. So to summarize, about like a little bit of history of the asana is what I wanted to touch upon first. There's some information that dates back from 4,000 years ago that there were some asanas, some postures mentioned in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, some proof of drawings of asanas that sages were performing, holding different postures for way longer than we hold it today. And the intention of this was to actually prepare the body for meditation. Now, there's another view of this, that the modern yoga that came from the early 1900s says the asana practice was a combination of different elements brought together in order to work the body and other things. But I do believe in the healing capacity still, even if it was a combination of other things. But we're going to move into another aspect of what we have learned about the asana. And one of the important things that maybe is also getting missed in the modern practice of yoga is that the asana is complete if it has different elements. The first element that we're going to mention is the vinyasa, which is the combination of Ujjayi breath with movement. So this, what I'm explaining in all these videos and all my practice and knowledge comes from mostly the Ashtanga method, the Ashtanga vinyasa. And in this method, during the practice, we perform mostly Ujjayi breath. This is a deep breath that we experience, and we actually hear kind of a wave sound as the air passes through our throat. So how is it that we breathe? We breathe the whole practice through our nose. We keep our lips sealed, but we hollow empty the palate inside, so we relax the jaw down. So we're trying not to hold any tension on the face. If we hold any tension on the face, on the neck, we can actually cause a lot of tension in the asana practice. But then we also get a sense that we're opening the throat. And as the air passes by, we hear a little sound, not too loud, not that everyone in the room has to hear it, but we hear a sound that comes as the air comes in and out. That's the Ujjayi breath. So it feels more that we're breathing with the throat and with the diaphragm. The intention, I feel that feeling that breathing with the diaphragm is that we're holding a good alignment and we're holding the bandhas. I'm gonna get there, but we're holding the bandhas. So we wanna breathe with Ujjayi breath all the time, inhalation and exhalation. And later on, and this is over time, you're gonna practice that every move has an inhalation, every move has an exhalation. But one important thing that I consider important when you're practicing, allow the breath to guide the movement, as instead of just start the movement and then the breath. So for me, the asana practice is actually a breathing practice, and then we move. So I also consider important that when we're breathing in the asana practice, we give our most and best attention to it, not to the shape of the pose. Yes, of course, alignment is important, but also like this kind of Ujjayi and deep breathing is one of the things that is gonna keep the practice safe. Because when we're doing something that we're not supposed to be doing and that it might lead to an injury, the first thing we sacrifice is the breath. Notice that. Notice when you're struggling and obsessed with the asana, which happens quite often. I mean, it's very nice to have the challenge. We see all these nice postures, and social media has contributed enormously for us to get obsessed with these different cool, super cool postures that maybe a 20-year-old that has been in dancing gymnastics all their life, like is doing that posture and is posting that posture, but is not a yoga practitioner, and we get obsessed by it. It happens to all of us. And it is also okay like to have like the intention and not only like to perform, to see the limits of the body, test the boundaries and go further a little bit more. It helps us a lot. So I'm not totally against that. The problem is when we get so obsessed with achieving posture that we force the method, we force the process. So going back to this, it's very important when we're practicing asana that we respect the breath. Then we know we're having a safe practice. The other key on the asana practice is also like that repetition is key. Asana practice is pretty much a repetition. And also it requires for us to drop the Western mind of no pain, no gain. The idea of the practice actually is to learn our minds to release and relax and surrender in this pose, but keep it strong and repeat once and again until the point that the body is able to execute the posture without hurting ourselves. And I think this like applies to everything. You know, we here in Bodhi Surfing Yoga, we have surfing. And when I see people surfing, especially my husband, it looks so graceful. It looks beautiful. It doesn't look like that when I try to surf. The important thing is that to understand that he has done it for 15 years or more. He does it almost on a daily basis. And he also has a very gifted body, a very athletic condition. So when you see him surfing, it looks effortless. But when you see me surfing, right on the shore, right on the whitewash, it doesn't look like effortless. It looks technical. It looks like I'm trying to learn something. And this also happens in the asana practice. At the beginning, it doesn't look effortless. It doesn't look graceful, probably. It looks like you're learning something. And only by repetition, we turn, as I heard once, the impossible into possible and the possible into graceful. And on this journey, it doesn't matter as much just to get into the final pose. It's what we're learning in the process about ourselves, because the asana tell us a lot about like the patterns of thoughts. I'm gonna give you an example. We can actually like recognize about the patterns of thoughts of ourselves, and if you're teaching about the students. Sometimes when in my case, I find that back bends really hard. And when I started practicing back bends, I would avoid them because they were too difficult. And I noticed this was a pattern that not only will show off on my mat, it was through this asana that I started learning that when something was difficult, I would tend to avoid it in my life, as instead of working it and make it possible and graceful. So this allowed me, this asana practice has allowed me, through using my body, to understand many of the patterns of thoughts that I tend to get unconsciously through my day, through my behavior. But they were really behind the screen for me until I step into my mat. As you progress into the practice, you start getting into more intimidating poses like arm balances and handstands and things like that. And then again, like one of the things is it allows you, like achieving the postures is not only about achieving the posture, it teaches something in your mind about when you think the boundaries are versus where you can put them. Because as I started testing my boundaries of the limits of my mind telling me, oh no, you can't do that. But then like trying and see that I can do that, I started realizing that the limits that were limiting my life was not the limits in my external circumstances or my body or my life itself, it's my mind. So the asana has the power of teaching you a lot in the process as you practice about who you are, about the patterns, about the bad habits you have designed within yourself. And this is very important for the asana. And so one other thing I've noticed in the students, when I see them fighting on the posture, struggling and pushing the posture, normally they tend to push in life too. So maybe the lesson the students have to learn there is don't struggle, release, things will come. You know, every person has a different study to learn, and asana is a very helpful. There's people who don't have that much faith in asana. I do have a lot of faith because I do believe that we were given a body for a reason, and we get to learn a lot by using the body. So coming back to other ingredient that it's important to take consideration when we practice asana is the bandhas. The bandhas are locks, and there's one in the throat. I'm going to talk about three main ones and the ones that we use we can use in the asana practice. But again, this would be another full conversations. There's books about it that you can read. There's information you can research about it. But the idea of the bandhas is locks, energetic spaces that you hold in order for you to make the posture Sthira Sukham Asana, comfortable and strong at the same time. The first one is the Mula Bandha, and the Mula Bandha is on the pelvic floor. And it's not about contracting muscles, it's about awareness of that area. Like you become aware, and immediately when you work on that pelvic floor, you immediately notice you have to change the alignment of your spine. Your body becomes more, you start standing a little, you become taller, okay? And again, this is just a mentioning. We will have later tutorials about where the bandhas are, why, and how that we can use it, and how they modify for asana. But again, like the Mula Bandha is on the pelvic floor, and is to develop that sense of awareness and activeness there. And the Uddiyana Bandha is right above it on the lower belly. And again, what we want to do is activate that area, keep it strong. And it immediately changes our position. This is, hopefully you can see, me with the Mula and Uddiyana Bandha. This is me with the bandhas. And the more that we apply this, the better we start understanding the magic that they create as we are practicing asana. Because they immediately change the alignment of the posture, and they help you find a perfect balance between putting enough strength without struggling and putting easiness without being lazy. That middle path. That's the secret of the bandhas. So now we have the Ujjayi Breath, or the breathing, if it's in other practices, the deep breathing. And now we have the bandhas. Then finally, another point very important in the yoga practice is called the drishti, how we guide the eyes. In the Ashtanga world, like this method, we have a drishti for every single movement and position that there is. Sometimes it's to the tip of the nose. Sometimes that might help you understand why you can look it up and see very weird photos of people like looking weird because they are looking at the point of the nose. Sometimes we'll be on the horizon. Sometimes, let's see, we're doing a forward bend and the drishti might go to the knees. In down dog, for example, one of the drishtis is towards the navel. So as you look towards the navel, you're able to relax the neck a little bit more. Sometimes we hold a lot of tension on the neck in down dog, and I get people who say, I get a headache when I do down dog. Maybe it's because of the tension we're holding. So as we release and look to the navel, we're releasing the neck. So sometimes it's to the thumb or to the middle finger. When we're doing warrior two, we're directing the attention into the third finger, middle finger in the front hand. So we're looking at, this is in the Ashtanga method. I understand the Iyengar is looking up to the side. So different methods have different drishtis. When we, in Ashtanga, we do warrior one, we elevate the hands, and the hands in traditional way are together, so we're looking at the thumbs. This is just to give you a few examples. So that's the important components the asana should have. If we only do in asana without this, we're just doing the form of asana. If we're doing asana with this, we're working on the internal experience of the asana. We're waking up the internal intelligence of the body. When we're first learning asana, and of course, like there are several benefits in several levels. The first thing that feels great is like to increase the flexibility of the body, and that's a really good idea for many reasons. And lacking flexibility on the external body has actually like an impact in the internal body. But we go deeper and deeper and deeper into the asana practice if we really want to invest our attention and time on it. At the end, we want to work on the subtle body. In yoga, we conceive the body not only about like the material we can see, but also about the energy. We have 92,000 channels of energy, the nadis. According to the yoga information, we have 92,000 channels of energy moving along the body. And those channels can get blocked by all the tension we're holding in the body and many other aspects, by the lack of prana and things like that. So with the asana practice, we want to liberate those channels. We want to work also like in the chakras. So that's the very important intention of the practice. So few other considerations. My belief is that this practice of asana can end up being a meditation in action. Now the problem is, if we're going to do a different class all the time and with a different teacher or with a different practice, it might be hard for us because there's no repetition to kind of memorize the practice in a way that we can do it and make it a meditation in action, because we will always be following the teacher. So the idea of how to make it a meditation practice is repeating something that we know by memory, so we know what's coming next. At the end, hopefully, the asana will be your teacher, not the teacher. The teacher is just instructing. It's almost invisible, guiding you and keeping the practice as safety as it can be. But other thing that it's important, the asana can be your self-exploration about the body. What feels good, what doesn't. I think it's important not to rely on your teacher as much. You can also try to see in a safe way and with a safe reading, your own exploration. Notice how the posture feels if you do this, if you do that. Notice how it feels, how can you open more, how can you relax more. That's the intention, doing some self-exploration and finding that subtle energy in the body. And the more that you explore this, maybe you're going to start notice you feel more sensitive and connected with your body. So you start noticing how other things affect you through the day. Maybe things you never noticed before. Oh, if I eat this, I feel this way. If I do this, I feel this way. So the asana practices are really good tool to reestablishing that connection with your body, between your mind and your body. Reestablish that connection. So take that in consideration when you practice. And from here we say, okay, what to practice? How do we practice? You know, the asana practice doesn't have to be super advanced or super long to get a nice benefit out of it. 10 minutes per day or 5 to 10 postures well done are way more beneficial than one long, strong practice per month. So how to begin? Well, there's different ways to begin, but I would tell you, like, one of the things, in order to keep a safe asana practice, be patient. You know, don't push it. Don't push it. Like, be patient, which is very hard in this Western world, right? It's something I struggle with all the time, not only in my asana practice, but in many other aspects of my life, as again, a pattern of thought I need to work. But be patient and don't push it. Just believe in the repetition of the asana. If I were to suggest a way, sun salutations, it's a really good way to start, and we can follow with the links. There's on our YouTube. You will find tutorials of how to do sun salutations A and B, and you can do that pretty much, and that would be good, especially at the beginning for 1 month or 2, and then you can add some standing positions, some sitting positions, and close the practice. Again, a 20-minute practice is a wonderful thing you can do during the day, per day. When to practice? Same as I was saying pranayama and meditation, it's good to practice on an empty stomach. So you feel, we do a lot of in asana, we do a lot of working on the internal organs. So if you're full, you're not gonna feel great probably. You're gonna get digestive issues. You might get a stomach ache or cramps or things like that. So a good idea to practice an empty stomach. Morning is a really good time to practice. If you're gonna practice in the afternoon, see if it works for you to have a very active practice in the afternoon, because it might get you high right before you go to bed. Maybe try to have a more mellow practice. But sometimes, because life is the way it is for us and we have different schedules and things, we might not be able to do that. So just see what works for you, but I encourage an empty stomach. If you're gonna practice, let's say at 11 a.m., of course, you don't have to go on an empty stomach all the way, and maybe try to have a light breakfast, wait for 2-3 hours, and your body's ready to practice. It also, like what we eat can affect the state of the mind and the breath, so we wanna be really careful. Shower, or keep the body clean. If you're gonna practice by yourself and you're not in hot weather or anything, it's okay if you don't shower. What I did have noticed, because we had to, when I was studying in India, we had to shower before we go to the shala. It does relax the body, relax the muscles to shower before, so it's a good idea. But of course, if you're gonna practice at 5-6 a.m., you might not want to take a shower. But keep the body clean. If you're attending in a studio, or even if you're practicing by yourself, during the practice, avoid any aromas, putting any perfumes, even essential oils or anything might not be a good idea. You want to keep it simple. And again, that's speaking about simple practice when done can go long way. So you don't need to do very fancy positions or anything. Just try to do simple postures, and you get a lot of benefits from it. There's a lot of wisdom on the practice, and even if I don't know if we should call it progressing or evolving from that, or just like changing it, but the practice has a lot of wisdom on it. We don't need to change it that much. 10 postures, well done. And you have done you have a good practice there, and it allows you to explore a little bit more. Also, try to practice, if you can, the same time every day. There's a reason for that. It's like following a cycle. But you notice, also allows you to notice how you feel. Like, even if you're doing the same thing a different day, you're gonna notice a lot of things in your mind, in your body. You're gonna come out with those days that you don't want to practice at that time. It might be the best time to practice, because you're training your mind as you're training your body. And those are the main recommendations. Every posture, regarding like if it's good or bad, it's super beneficial, has contraindications. Always look for those contraindications, especially if you have injuries, if you have any kind of syndrome or any kind of medical situation. It's always good to do your research and to talk to your teacher and be clear with the teacher, this is what I have, so the teacher can help you modify your practice and tell you what postures just you don't do. If you have herniated disc, if you have an injury, if you have glaucoma, anything, there's a posture you can do. So, and you can always modify. So always communicate with your teacher and do your research too about what is good according to your body. Because what we want to do is we want to wake up like that healing capacity of the body. We don't want to push it. I like also one teacher that says, practice yoga at your 70%. Not at your 100%. Sometimes we can get over enthusiastic on the practice, and then we get all sweaty, we push it too much, and that's on the morning, we feel great, and the afternoon when the body cools down, oh no, that wasn't a good idea. You feel, you don't feel good in the body. So it's important to practice at the 70%, and what my teacher, 60-70%, don't push it to the limit, and also practice with the consideration, oh, I want to keep this practice until I'm 80 years old. So you don't push it because you want to continue practice and there's no rush. And then finally, pain. What do we do in pain in the practice? And this has been really controversial because there's even a teacher who has said that pain is something that we learn from it and so on. Well, yes, we do learn from injuries. I have learned from injuries what not to do, just like what we learn from mistakes. But we also we want to avoid them. So if some posture is causing you sharp pain, it obviously means your body is not ready for it. The posture should be comfortable. It feels strong. Yeah, there's a difference between feeling sore. Yes, of course, you're working the muscle. You might feel sore sometimes in the practice. But that sharp pain, that kind of pinch pain, or nerve pain, or the pain in the back that you can barely walk one day, no, that's not a good idea. What do? Get out of that. Don't do that posture. Just wait. Give it time. Some postures prepare you for the next one. There's an order. And it's important to respect the order of the practice. Sometimes in the practice that I do, we do a lot of forward bending that it feels kind of like abusing amount of forward bending. And when you practice for 10 or so years, you start understanding why. Because the spine was being open, so the back bend is better. But sometimes we get obsessed and we want to jump into the back bend, and the spine and the hamstrings were not open and strong enough. So go back to the main positions, go back to the foundations, build your foundation well, and then you'll be ready for the other postures. And let's not get obsessed with the postures. It's not about that, because there's so many more elements into the yoga practice. Yeah, it looks pretty, but the important thing is about feeling good. It's about healing the practice. It's about knowing our bodies in a different level. So here's where we close the chapter of asanas. And again, the best way to learn asanas is by practicing asanas. The experience, it's everything in here. Keep a safe practice, be aware of the breath, and we just finished the third limb of Ashtanga Yoga. Namaste.